Hey YouTube, Aiden slash Burger Bob here, whatever you want to call me. On to our next NAMM show brand. We're talking about the huge, the one and only, the giant Conn-Selmer. Now again, I'm going to say this in every video. Little disclaimer, I work for two drum corps. Pacific Crest, sponsored by Jupiter, and Cadets, sponsored by Yamaha. My views represent neither of these drum corps in these videos. And I play Bach instruments, but I'm not sponsored by them, so my thoughts are pretty free and clear, or at least I hope they are. So, on to Conn-Selmer. This is just in the order that I played all their instruments, so hopefully it's not too confusing. I went to their booth right after Hebai, the Chinese importer, and I wanted to try out some Conn-Selmer instruments. I always want the box to be good because, hey, that's what I play. And you know what? I like cons, so I want them to be good too. So first thing I played was the 50 AF3, the Bach 50 AF3. This is a Bach 50 with the new Olsen axial valve, or Thayer valve, whatever you want to call it. Ball bearing Thayer. I have played several of these at shows in the past, both at NAMM last year and ITF 2017. Yes, it was just a year ago. And I've never really been impressed. They just don't seem to blow as well as I want them to. They don't seem to feel as good as I want them to. And I'm really just not sure why they're not getting these absolutely right, because this valve is really good. The Bach 50 is really good. And when they combine them, at least a Bach, they just don't come out very good. And this was not really any exception. The horn had a great sound. I mean, it's a Bach 50. It's kind of hard to get that wrong, at least. Even the worst of the worst Bach 50s typically don't sound bad, but the valves were slow, which means they were not set up right or unoiled. Either one is pretty terrible. And just not very open through the valves. This is the second bass trombone I played there, I guess, but the Hebai bass trombone, which is some Chinese copy of something, maybe even a Getson 1052, which I don't like very much, even that played easier through the valves than this horn did. I'll say that it was even. I guess the sound was pretty even, but man, I was just really not happy with how this horn blew. Especially like C below the staff felt like I was playing on maybe my 50B2 with the amount of resistance I was getting back, which is with two rotor valves and was made 45 years ago. Just really kind of disappointed in the 50 AF3. I'm not sure if they only bring bad ones to shows, because I've only played 3 at this point, but I'm just disappointed. I want that to be a good horn. I'm not sure if I would ever buy one, but I want to be able to buy one if it's good. Next up, next to it on a stand was a Bach 50 A3G, which is a 50 with Hagmans and a gold bell. This horn was a lot easier to play. It felt much more open. Of course, it still has the problem that the one that I reviewed had, in that it's too long. I pulled the tuning slide out to the same spot that I had it on the 50 AF3, just because I thought I probably should, and instantly the guy with me noticed it was much more flat, so I had to push it in, and even then I was still a little low, which means the horn is still too long. I feel like this is just an easy fix for Bach. Like, cut down the gooseneck, move the whole thing back, and it'll at least be in tune, if nothing else. The bell distance, the bell to slide receiver distance is still wrong. That's why they're too long. And it just feels weird because the bell is too close. Third position is like even a little bit past the bell. And that, I don't know, that's just really annoying to me that they haven't fixed this yet. So I moved on to the new Centennial tenor trombone. This is a 42, BOF. There we go. 42 BOF with a new open flow valve from Meinl Schmidt. The valve is not new, but the instrument is new. Meinl Schmidt has made the open flow valve for a decade or something like that. Anyway, it's a 42 with a new valve using the same wrap as the A47 Artisan series. So it's got that cool kind of like angular wrap. Doesn't take up a whole lot of space. Looks pretty cool. And the new valve blows very well. I like it a lot. These instruments were okay, is what I have written. nothing special. And the low range I thought was pretty good. So I think these are just good 42s. And that's kind of like all the comments I really had on it. It did have a really cool engraving. I would love to have a bell with that engraving on it. I didn't think this horn really stood out a whole lot, but I didn't think it was bad by any means. There was also a Freedman model of that, which has the same valve, same wrap, but a light gold bell and a nickel silver slide, the LT slide. I thought that was easier to play, but the guy with me said that it didn't project as much. It wasn't making as much sound. So I was getting more feedback, but less sound was coming out of the front of the horn. So that's something that someone would have to be aware of, maybe. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I also played, next up, the 42AF. This is the 42 with the Olsen axial valve with the ball bearings. I thought it was just an okay 42. Nothing super special about it. It sounded good. The valve was slow, which again means it wasn't set up right, and or it's unoiled. Like, just oil the valves, guys. You're only bringing so many horns to the show. Like, at least do those ones. And I wasn't super impressed, but I thought it was okay. I wouldn't be unhappy with it. The one my teacher has, a 42 AFG, I thought was a much better instrument, at least behind the bell. And surprisingly, I haven't played a Bach A47 yet. This is the new Artisan series that has a couple bell choices, a couple valve choices, I think. I think you can get the infinity valve on this too, the Olsen axial. And has a slightly different slide than the 42 and a different lead pipe. This was just a stock, I guess there's no stock model, but this is just a normal one with the normal bell and the rotor, which is made in-house and is not the same Meinl Schmidt open flow rotor. This horn played really, really, really well. I liked it a lot. For some reason, I didn't play this at ITF, and I'm not sure why, but at NAMM, man, it was a great instrument. Easy all over the place, good high range, good low range, a cool sound. And I have written here, my favorite Bach at the show. I really liked the A47. The problem is the A47 costs like $1,500 more than any of the 42s, which is kind of a high bar already, because the 42 is kind of Conn-Selmer's premier tenor trombone, so they charge a lot for them. I'm not sure if I would get an A47 over anything else, but that's definitely a good instrument. They had the Conn, next up, they had the Conn 88 HCL. This is the Conn 88 with the CL valve. Usually I stay away from these because I've played a few, and I don't know, I don't really care for them that much. The CL valve is huge for seemingly no reason. Not the best design in the world. But these were all the rage 10, 15 years ago, and they kind of took over the world until Shires and Edwards took over the world from them. And I can see why. I played it, and I liked it a lot. It was really easy to play. Had a really good slide. I liked that a lot. The low range was pretty good. I mean, it was just a good horn all around. The sound is definitely different than I like because of the smaller throat. Tapers throughout the instrument, but at the tuning slide and the bell and the tenor-sized crook at the end of the slide. But I thought it was a really good instrument, and that was a pleasant surprise. Conn has kind of become relegated to the back of the line for Conn-Selmer. It's not their premier trombones anymore because that's Bach now. So, sometimes they're letting the QC go on those. Maybe, I'm not sure. And, of course, the next instrument up kind of solidified that feeling, even though the 88 was good. The 62 HI, which was their other bass there, was not good at all. One of the worst basses at the show, which I was really kind of sad to see. At NAMM last year, the 62 HI was one of the better basses at the show, much better than the 50 AF3 right next to it. Had a huge sound, just blew well everywhere, great valves, I loved it. And at this show, it was the opposite of that in every way. And that just kind of made me sad. I played on it for about a minute, and I put it down and went, wow, that's not good. And I honestly did not do that with many instruments at the show, so I don't know, that made me sad. One point about all the Conn-Selmer horns that were new at this booth is that they had ripples in the lacquer, something about They changed their lacquer recipe or something to comply with environmental laws, which is good. But the lacquer was not very even on these instruments. Not that I would really care. Looks are a secondary thing for me, or third or fourth or fifth or something. I just don't care about it that much. And I would probably have lacquer taken off. But the lacquer was not very good on these instruments. Just a little side note. So overall, Conn-Selmer, some good instruments, some meh instruments right in the middle, and then a couple that were not good at all. I'm not sure if that gets a passing grade from me or not. And I want them to be good, so I'm trying to be honest here. All right, and we'll have Shires up for our next video about the NAMM show.